Hello, and welcome to Ghoulish. My name is Max Booth, a host, and today we are talking about indie book reviewing, specifically on the website and podcast, Ink Heist, with Shane Douglas Keene. Shane.
Yes.
Douglas. Keene. That's an interesting choice. How did you come upon the decision to use three names?
It's kind of a sense a pride thing, kind of probably silly pride thing, but the middle name is one that I share with my father and my grandfather and my uncles, and it's just kind of the family stamp, so to speak. And I mean, that's about as good a reason as I can give, other than I'm just a pompous motherfucker.
Yeah, that I would agree with that second opinion. In the news, if you, I don't know if you read the news, if you know anything about history, but a lot of bad guys go by three names.
Yeah, like some of my favorite people.
Do you want to list some?
I'm kidding. The only one I can think of is John Wayne Gacy, so.
As your favorite people? Okay, that's a bold claim, but I'll stand by it. Before we begin, I just have a quick question. Do you have a basement?
No.
Oh, okay. So you have a website and a podcast now called Ink Heist.
Yes.
Why?
I don't, it was an accident, really.
Okay.
I mean, we talked about it off and on before, but it was kind of like we were gearing up to do this stuff with John Taff. And we're talking about it and planning on it and saying, okay, we're going to do this on this day and whatnot. And then he goes, cool, and this is going to be audio, so it's going to be really awesome, basically click. So suddenly we were audio instead of, just typing a bunch of questions for this guy. It's like, oh, fuck, how do I do this? I mean, and I think you got a onslaught of questions from me.
Yeah. So the podcast began as an accident because you were just promoting John's new books.
Yeah, it was kind of like I say, we had planned at some point in time to do it, but I'm a professional coward, so it wasn't going to happen anytime soon. And then John kind of made it happen anyway.
John seems to make things happen. That's why.
Yes.
That's why Ghoulish began. Actually, we were gonna have a conversation. Then he demanded it was a podcast, and then he never showed up. So the episode didn't happen. But now we have a podcast.
Yeah, no showed on me once too.
Yeah, we I was Skyping him. I kept saying, John, what's going on? But he never responded to me, and he hasn't talked to me since. In retrospect, I don't know if I had the right Skype account, so I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it. He no showed on us once, but he
Wow.
messaged us.
What a
He
piece of
messaged us.
shit.
Yeah, that fucking dick.
Hey, this is a family show.
Well, you're in trouble then.
Uh-oh. How did you get into reviewing? Before Ink Heist, you did Shotgun Logic, right?
Yeah, Yeah, that was my first one. Um, and honestly, actually, that's kind of interesting or weird, however you might want to look at it. The first book I ever reviewed on Ink Heist was a book called Dead Men by John Foster.
I've
And
never heard of this book. Do you want to tell me about it?
yeah, it's a really super good supernatural noir mashup, which John is exceptional at, by a publisher called Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing.
What a terrible name.
Yeah, isn't that horrid?
They don't sound like that's going to last much longer.
So, but how I got into it is kind of a I'm disabled. I have a lot of spine problems. So I was fucking bored. Yeah, I had nothing to do. I was kind of going crazy, and um, I read Gray Matter Press's first anthology, and I was talking about it on Twitter, and Tony Rivera, the editor over there, said, "Hey, go leave us a review somewhere." Basically do the responsible fucking thing, which I had never ever done before that. I'd never reviewed a book anywhere. I was like, okay, I'll do that. In fact, I'll just start doing that on a regular basis. So I started Shotgun Logic,
Now,
which was
can you
which was called.
I
Go ahead.
apologize. Go. Can you explain the name of shotgun logic? What is the logic of a shotgun?
That's where that was going. Is there's no logic whatsoever.
Ah,
Um, and it was kind of that was the whole thing is like, okay, well, why the fuck are you doing this, Shane? And I couldn't come up with a response to that question, so it kind of just, okay, there's no logic whatsoever to this. And from there, I just got creative until the right name slipped off my tongue or felt like the right name.
it sounds awesome. I've never given too much thought into the meaning of shotgun logic, but I mean, damn, if that would be a great name for like a rock band. I know you've done music in the past as well.
Yeah, I have. Yes, that is correct. I played in a lot of rock bands. I played in a couple of punk rock bands, mostly garage material. Okay, all garage material.
You did the music in the garage.
Yeah, well, we never really reached what I would consider professional status. A few bar gigs, a lot of parties, a lot of fucking birthday parties and weddings and shit. But
Nice. I like
yeah,
children's birthday parties or what?
no, no, no. See, I've always been this way, Max. So nobody would have me at their parties, even when I was 10.
Oh my god. If I would invite you to one of mine, but uh, I guess the invitation got lost in the mail. I apologize.
That's what everybody keeps doing that. Every time someone goes to invite me, they lose the invitation for some reason.
Do you have a mailbox?
Oh, well, no, I don't even have an address.
Oh, well, that might have something to do with it.
Ah.
You don't have a mailbox. You don't have an address. You don't have a basement. Shane, what do you have?
Not much. I have a few guitars. I have a
Nice.
computer. I have 3 dogs. You want them?
No, I'm okay. I have two already, and they just shit all the time, and I'm sick of cleaning it up.
When they're not eating, yeah.
How many books do you have in your house right now? Do you have an exact count?
No, I don't have an exact count.
Uh,
Just in the house itself, since I have very small quarters, I would say there's probably 200, 300 books in the house.
can you name them for me?
Sure. I can't name my wife for you right
Well, that wasn't the question.
now. No, I can't.
Okay, that's cool. It's
But if you count all the books I have in storage too, you can multiply that number by probably about 15.
I'm not gonna do math right now, but thank you
Yeah.
for the invitation, which didn't seem to get lost in the mail. Interesting.
No, anytime I'm asking someone to do something uncomfortable, I'm going to make sure the invitation gets there.
Well, that's awfully kind of you. So let's enough of this chit chat. Okay, let's get serious for a moment. I do want to go over the review policy page on Inkheist because it's pretty specific, and
I would have to look and see what that says.
I'm looking at it now, so I can just go over it with you. Uh, DNF. What does that mean? Do not fuck.
It can mean that too, if you like.
I don't
Um,
like.
it means did not finish.
Okay, now why wouldn't you finish a book? Go over that.
Um, Probably the main two reasons, maybe even the only two reasons I've never not finished a book are either the editing sucks really badly because
Yeah.
I get literally angry about that. I can't keep going. Or the book is just boring me to death. If I hit page 50 and I'm still trying to resist the yawn reflex, then I've got better things to do.
Now, do you is page 50, is that the maximum, the minimum you'll give it?
Honestly, that is a bias sort of situation because if it depends on the author.
Okay.
I mean, like John Foster, the guy I mentioned earlier, I never read a book by him that I didn't love. So if I hit page 50 and I'm still kind of ho-humming with a book he wrote, I'm going to keep going for a while.
Do you think you could write more reviews if you didn't finish any of these books? What if you just wrote reviews based off of page one?
I could never do that.
Okay, maybe okay. That isn't for everybody. I mean, some folks they just look at the title and the byline and they can crank out a 2,000 word review. But that isn't for everybody, and I respect that. That's fine. So on the review policy page, it's these are the things that anyone who wants to be considered for a review, this is what they have to email you. The title of the book. Can you explain that?
That's probably the least necessary of that list of bullet items that we have on there. The title of the work, it just gives me something to reference when I communicate with the author or the publisher, as the case may be.
I see. Now, you also want them to send like a synopsis, a description. Is that so you can just recycle that into the review and then it gives you less work to do?
Nah, nah. If you read my reviews, you'll never find a synopsis in any single one of them. I used to do that early on, but I found that when other people did it, it irritated me. So I figured I should, listen to my own advice and quit doing that and actually review the damn thing.
Yeah, I know. I've read plenty of your reviews. It was not a serious question whatsoever. Your reviews are good because you don't just describe the plot. You actually go into what makes it good, what makes it bad, and not a lot of reviewers do that. So, do you want to kind of discuss what is your process of reviewing a book?
Um, it's kind of interesting, and I guess I would guess this is different from for all of us, but I take meticulous notes while I'm reading a book because my memory's like a sieve. I can literally read a book, and you can ask me 3 days later what happened in it, and I could tell you vaguely, but if I didn't take notes, I'm going to have issues with it in most cases. So that's the first stage with me. Otherwise, I check off some things. My visceral response is the first thing I consider without considering any technicalities whatsoever. Um, I don't consider editing unless I notice the editing or lack of it, then I consider it. It's interesting. Nobody's ever asked me this question, Max. How the fuck do I do this?
I don't
Um,
know. How do you do this? That's what I want to know. Yeah.
Basically, I make as I'm going to write my book reviews, and I used to basically write them like what I'm about to tell you. Is I make a list of things that really moved me about the book, in whether that's positive or critical. Um, and I make a list of bullet items, and then I start putting together disjointed paragraphs about each one of those bullet items and writing notes in the margins, so to speak, as I go. And then I take that and, that's basically my outline or rough draft, and I take that and polish it into a finished review. But each book is different. Each book has a different effect on me, and it's something else that either works or doesn't work for me, because um, some books really, really get me because the characters fucking rock. Some books really get me because the storytelling is, you know what I mean? It just depends on which book it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. What is your favorite genre to review? I would probably have to guess erotica. Am I wrong?
No, you're dead on. The more triple X, the more so I'm likely to want to review it.
Hell yeah, man! I love Triple X. That pedigree is insane.
No, but in all seriousness, horror is my first love. Crime fiction is a very, very close companion to horror fiction for me.
You could definitely tell by reading the books you do review. I have to imagine running a website like Inkheist, you get some pretty awful review requests. And judging by the laugh, you have something to say about that?
Um, for the sake of politeness, maybe we should move on to the next question. No, we do. We get some pretty off the wall requests. We get requests for things that are far outside. I mean, you've read our policy page, so you know that each one of us has preferences as far as the type of fiction we'll read and what format and all that stuff. But I've had people ask me to review their paranormal romance or their erotica or their straight up romance novels, or whatever. And that's, obviously an instant just ignore in that case, because you obviously did not read our review policy, or for some stupid reason you thought you'd just take a chance on me, even though I've made it perfectly clear what I will and won't read.
Do you get sent a lot of unsolicited paperbacks?
Oh man, yeah, that didn't used to be the case, but now, uh, multiple times a week, I'll
Yeah.
get stuff in the mail that I had no clue was coming to me.
Maybe you might be on the same list I'm on, because probably 2 or 3 times a week, like you said, I get these fucking mass market paperbacks of just these books with men with no clothes on the cover, usually like fighting some type of animal. I get all these paranormal romance novels I have absolutely no interest in reading, so I just have boxes of them in my closet.
Yeah, I don't, because we have these little free libraries around my neighborhood. So anytime I go out to walk anywhere, I just take as many books as I can carry in one arm and drop them in one of those little free libraries, so that I don't have those books hanging around clogging up my space.
I have this idea, a way to get rich. Okay, I would begin a review website, much like Inkheist, but I would only accept physical books. And I would accept anything, any request I got, I would say, yes, send it to me. And then, once I would have like a good box of books in my house, I would just take them to half price books, sell them, get rich, and then when I do a review, just make up anything, right? Because why not? I mean, it's a free. I mean, it's fucking it's a chaotic universe we live in, Shane.
Right, and basically it's the cheapest advertising they ever got.
Exactly. So I mean, what do you think about this scheme? Do you want to get on it with me? Well, what's up?
Yeah, as long as we're only doing that with books we don't like.
Oh, so we would have to read them ahead of time.
No, I mean we just judge by the genre,
Okay, cool. I would be
you
okay with
know,
that. Yeah.
or even or the synopsis if the genre fits and the synopsis sounds stupid. Say these
Honestly,
ones, but
even by
these
the
books that we,
byline.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the byline too.
Yeah.
Some often the byline is a. I could name some bylines that are an immediate turn off to me, but I won't.
Yeah, like just like names. Like if I see a book written by someone named Keith, ugh, probably not great.
Yeah, I'm kind of a Jason sort of guy.
Yeah, fuck Jason's.
Yeah,
There's a reason that Jason Pilgrim goes by David Wong, okay?
one of my favorite fucking authors right there, dude.
I have reread John Dies at the End probably 5 times.
That's the book that is the reason I say that. Yeah, yeah.
I like
Same
it. I
here.
like his Edel stuff too, but John Dies at the End, man, that's the one.
He is my definitely that is my favorite of his, and it's the only one I've read more than one time by him.
Yeah.
Another guy of the same school, and it's in fact works for or did work for the same company is Robert Brockaway.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
I've talked to him a few times. He's a kind dude. He's super talented. That website cracked. It made all these awesome created types. A lot of them don't go for cracked anymore because cracked is a piece of shit now. But
exactly.
yeah, I mean, this isn't a episode on crack.com, I guess, so we can move on. We're almost actually out of time because this podcast is super short. It is. It's not a 5 hour podcast, despite what I promised you today. I
Thank
want to
God.
know. I want to know what you've been reading lately, and what can you recommend?
Oh man, that's easy. Right now, first, I'm reading this book by Sean Hamill, a new to me author, probably new to all of us. Um, it's called A Cosmology of Monsters, and it is brilliant. It's one of those rare books where Stephen King said he loved it, and I do too.
Wow,
I'm
that
joking about
shots
that. We
fired.
usually agree.
Fuck you, Stephen King.
Exactly. They're my fucking initials too. So yeah, that one is excellent, but you know, he could drop the ball on that. I'm only halfway through that one. But King said, I think if John Irving were ever to write a horror novel, this is what he would write, and I think that is an accurate assessment. Another book I just read recently that is stellar and I think is out or about to be out is by Andrew Cole, as the book cover goes, and it's called Remains. This guy can write his ass off. He's the real deal, and I think we'll see a lot more. I hope we'll see a lot more of this kid.
I recognize that title. I think it has a badass front cover, right?
It does, like where there's a silhouette of a woman standing on a sidewalk, but then in her shadow, there's a child holding her hand.
Yeah, that sounds good. I need to get that.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Hell
Great
yeah.
book.
What else do you have planned with the Inkheist podcast?
Oh, we have a ton of stuff coming up. We've got Laird Barron coming to the show. We've got Chad Lutsky. Sadie Hartman is going to guest host a show with me where we're talking to Nicholas Day.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got a ton of killer people. Carolyn Kepnes has said she will after she finishes her current draft. So that's one I really look forward to.
That sounds so exciting. I love the new podcast, man. You're doing awesome stuff, and everybody should go listen to it.
I appreciate that, man. I still feel like a fucking imposter even when it just comes to book reviewing. So,
I mean, the only proof you need is how I've hosted this episode. I mean, anyone could do better than what I've done.
oh shit, are you kidding? You're a grizzled veteran now, Max.
It is true, I am 85 years old. How can folks find you online?
Inkheist.com.
Now, that is a website?
Yes, that's
Okay.
our website.
Gotcha.
Also, Twitter handle at Shane D. Keene. That's where I'm most often found. Or Instagram, ink.heist. If you go looking for me on Facebook, you might find some references to me, but rarely will you find me there.
Yeah, you've become this myth on Facebook, like the man who once was.
Yeah, the guy who fell out of love.
Well, this was fun, dude. Thanks for coming on the show.
It was. It was a blast, and I do believe we have Max Booth coming to the show.
My dad?
Eventually. Max Booth the third
Oh my god,
coming to the show.
that's me.
I call it. I don't. I call it a show because I don't know what the fuck to call it. What do you call them?
I call him a show.
Cool.
Yeah, why not? Unless I'm doing it, then I call it a disaster.
That's what we generally call it too, is a debacle.
Good enough to me. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot. Have a good day.
All right. You too, Max. Thanks a lot, man.
Bye.
I had fun.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to Ghoulish. Did you like what you just heard? Want to listen to these episodes daily instead of weekly? Well, you are in luck, Daddy-O, because over on Patreon we've announced a new stretch goal. Once we begin making 1,000 bones a month, we will begin releasing Ghoulish 5 nights a week. That's 1,000 bones, my sweet, beautiful, spooky children. Now go on over to patreon.com/PMM Publishing to pledge now, today, right this second, don't wait. You can also follow this show at GhoulishPod.com and tweet at us at GhoulishPod. Please rate and review us on iTunes, and do not forget, whatever you do, live spooky, die spooky.